Hey there, Julia here. Today we are talking about the planner that I've been in for 2024, this Papertess Designs B6 Yearly Notebook. We're going to be talking about what I liked, what I didn't, and what you should consider if you're wanting to use this planner in 2025 and beyond. Now, I already know that there have been some changes in the 2025 version of this planner, so definitely keep that in mind when I'm talking through this. I'll try to note if there are any changes in the latest edition. But just a little bit of background, I've been bullet journaling since December of 2018. And this is the first year not doing the whole blank dot grid 160 GSM notebook for a bullet journal. Instead, I've been bullet journaling in this planner. And overall, it's been a really great transition. So as you can see, I have this in a cover. This is a Moterm B6 Plus cover, and it's pretty roomy. It has one of these back pockets here. It has plenty of card pockets in the front, 2 pockets in the front here, and then another 1, 2, technically 3 pockets in the back. Let's slide this out of here. So the cover on the planner itself has held up pretty well. It's a soft cover, but I'm not sure exactly what this material is, but it does hold up pretty good. I don't know if I would go coverless with it, but considering that I am just typically pretty not precious with my planners, I think it held up great. The binding is this glue type binding, and it does fold back on itself, which is nice, and it's still just holding up really well as I'm getting towards the end of using this. The portability has been one of my favorite aspects of moving to this B6 size. It's definitely large enough to handle a lot of information on the day-to-day, whether that be tasks or journaling, but it's also small enough to fit in my purse or just take with me without taking up too much space. I have traveled both in-state and further away, like plane trips and whatnot, with this, and it hasn't been a pain. So I really do want to stomp my feet about how great the portability of this has been. I will say that the notebook itself doesn't have any back pockets. It doesn't have a pin loop. It doesn't have any bookmarks. So the cover was a must because that kind of filled in those gaps. Plenty of pockets. I have a pin loop. I have bookmarks built into this cover. So those were features that I was used to with my previous bullet journals. And so I was able to get that and more with adding a cover here. I do have some specs back here. So page count, the page count is 520, and it is Tomoe River paper, 52 GSM, white. I wouldn't say it's bright white, but definitely not cream. So definitely take note if you're a little bit more, if you have that preference of white and cream. It's somewhere in between. The grid size is not exactly square. It's a 4mm by 3.9. So a little tight. I think it was fine for my handwriting, but any smaller and I probably would not have been a fan. So definitely keep that in mind if you have larger handwriting and you like to keep everything in the grid. For multimedia, it held up pretty well. I did quite a bit of ink painting in here. In June, I used colored pencils. I don't think I went full on gouache or anything, but I do have a mixture of inks and markers and stamps even. So I thought it held up pretty well. You are gonna get some slight ghosting back here on the back of the pages, but that is to be expected with Tomoe River paper. but I was actually quite surprised at how much this was able to take. Again, I'm coming from 120 GSM multimedia paper last year, and the year before it was 160 GSM. So going all the way down to this super thin 52 GSM paper, I was not sure what to expect, but Tomoe River paper is just special in that, yes, it's super thin and I love flipping through and hearing the crinkle sounds and all that, but it can also take watercolor and inks and a good variety of markers. So that was pretty much the aesthetics of the planner and what I thought about that. But let's talk about the layout of the planner, because I think that's most important, especially on a day-to-day basis, and has the most effect on whether or not I like a planner, if I'm going to keep using it, etc. So, especially coming from the bullet journal space where I have just like total freedom. So you open it up and you do have this blank spread, and I appreciated this opening just blankness so that I could do my yearly cover spread. Of course, you can use this for something a little more functional. You can put your yearly goals here, a vision board, whatever you see fit. And then flipping it over, this is the yearly overview, and I think this is supposed to be used for your traditional future log, but I was a little nervous with only having this much space for future log planning. I usually fill that up quite quickly, but I thought that adding birthdays here was a good call, just because typically on my future log, birthdays take up a lot of room, and so it allowed me to not take up as much room on the future log. So flipping over, this was my makeshift future log that worked out great. These calendars were not native to this page. These are some yearly calendars that I do have in my Etsy shop. I'll link those for you down below if you're interested in these mini calendar stickers. I already have them ready to go for 2025, but I was able to use this quarterly kind of Gantt layout for my future log. And so I have lots of vertical space to future plan. And then kind of as a bonus, since I wasn't using the days and the months that are here along the side, I used that as my period tracker. So I marked when I was menstruating, and then the little box around the numbers is just when I was expecting to. So I could be prepared. But yeah, this worked out perfectly to have the birthdays separate from the future log itself. And then you get another blank spread, which, yes, perfect. It was perfect for my beginning of the year spread that I come back to pretty much on a weekly basis. I was able to put my admin checklist here, a future me checklist, and my trusty whiteboard. If you don't know anything about this, I do have several videos of how to set up these whiteboard spreads that I will link for you down below as well. But I just love that this blank spread is here to do whatever, with bullet journaling, you kind of have these collection pages that you set up before you get into the monthlies. And so it was really awesome to have that here. There is a December of the year before monthly here that I did fill out just to have as a reference, but I didn't think that this was necessary, and I don't think that this is included in the 2025 version of this planner. But then it goes straight into the monthly. So this page doesn't really count because this is supposed to go with this December setup, but I used it as my January cover spread. It goes into the monthly calendar, and herein lies kind of my first issue with the planner. This cover spread is not built in. So, for example, at the end of January, this is actually a daily page for January still, but I'm using it as a February cover spread, if that makes sense. So I just have to pre-plan a little bit for that last week of any particular month to shrink my dailies to fit in 2 less pages so that I can have that spread as a cover spread. I love having a place for a cover spread. So I did do that every month. So I don't know if this was adjusted in the 2025 version of the planner, but I would have loved a spread, another blank spread before the monthly for a cover spread. And if you're not into cover spreads, I still think a spread before the monthly could be beneficial for end of month reflection, a pre-month forecast, a vision board for the month, etc. But it did work out with a little bit of pre-planning. So after the monthly calendar, which I thought gave lots of room for decoration along the side and the bottom, or if you wanted to use this for monthly goals or tracking or anything like that, you have plenty of room there. You flip over, you have a blank spread. And I've used this spread for a lot of different things. As you can see here, there's some habit tracking here, some monthly task lists and tracking of media. I've used it for a habit log, for dashboards, a cleaning list, all types of things. But I really do enjoy that this blank space here exists for the bullet journaler in me so that I can have the flexibility to do what I need. And then it goes into the weekly spreads, which I kind of was using this type of layout already in my bullet journal. So it transitioned over really nicely where you have a separate area for events and meetings. And I think in the 2025 version, this does get the grid treatment. Right now, it's just blank, which didn't really bother me, not a big deal, but I think I would have liked to have the grid spacing on this side as well. And then you just have on the other half of the page, just a grid space. And so I use that for weekly tasks. A lot of the times I split that up a few different ways, whether it be work or personal. Sometimes I split it up not at all. Sometimes I just had a rolling list. Sometimes I split it up priorities versus just regular tasks. Sometimes I split it up between priorities, what I wanted to get done this week and what could wait till later. So I did love the flexibility of this space. And then of course it goes into your daily pages. So you get 7 pages of just blank dot grid, or not dot grid, just regular grid before you go to the next week. And this is probably the largest issue I had with this planner. Just having the 7 daily sheets was a little bit too much for my purposes, though I was able to journal quite a bit in these daily pages and decorate, which was really fun. But a lot of the time I really didn't need all of those pages, and I would rather have maybe 3 sheets or 2 spreads per week. So I would have liked this intro spread with the events, meetings, and then the tasks, this page blank, these 2 pages blank, and this would be a new week. Like I would have much preferred less pages in the dated sections, and all of these extra pages could go in the back, because this was another issue for me in this book, was that I only got 27 pages in the back. So after you go through all of your weeklies and monthlies in the order that you would if you bullet journal, you have your blank note pages, and I filled these up so quickly. I want to say within just a couple of months they were already gone. And so taking some of these daily pages and dispersing them as a page before the monthly page as a cover spread, and then back here in the notes section, I think would have made this planner perfect for me. Another not really issue, but in the back of this planner, you do get the following year's January calendar. And I think I would have replaced this with maybe the first 6 months of the upcoming year in like a future log format, so that as you get towards the end of the year, you can go ahead and start future planning here before you move into a new planner. So I think overall my gripes are pretty minor, other than kind of plucking some of these daily pages out and putting them in the back of the planner, I think would have made a big difference. As far as I know, in the 2025 version, there are more notes pages, but I don't know how many more. Luckily, I was able, with this cover being so roomy, I was able to have another little small notebook back here for work notes and any kind of musings that would go in the back of this planner typically. Okay, let's talk about some organization hacks that I made to really make this work for me. The first thing are these monthly tabs. These are from Traveler's Company, and these definitely help me get to a particular month that I want to look at quickly. I also have a tab to get to the future log quickly, since I do reference that quite a bit, scheduling things that aren't in the current month, or whenever I'm setting up a month, I'll come here to see what I need to transfer over to that monthly calendar. And then I also have a tab to get to those back pages, those back note pages, which I ended up not using that tab very much because I have no room back here. But that was a way that I did get there quickly. You've probably also noticed these little cuts that are in here, and this isn't native to the planner. I have an index cutter that I'll link below to help me get back to the weekly page. I will say it is not the best index cutter in the world. It does get a little sticky, and just quite frankly, I think it's poorly made. But even with the frustration of using it, it was very helpful in marking these weekly pages. And I was even doing like the monthly indexes, like the monthly cutouts here, but then I was like, that's a little redundant because I have the tabs to get me to the monthly page. So overall thoughts. So yeah, this planner is taking the chunk pretty well. It's still really easy to transport, even with it being a little more chunky. But honestly, I think with this, I would have loved a 2-book system where the first book went until June, and then I would switch into a new book for July. That could also be a solution for more note pages in the back. And so I can still get that fresh mid-year update. But I must say, I really enjoyed this so much. The size, the paper. I, as you heard, have very few minor layout issues. And it felt really comfortable and easy to merge my bullet journal background with this planner. I would absolutely recommend it if you're comfortable with bullet journaling and you like to work straight through the year. So this isn't like the Hobonichis, where all your monthly calendars are together, all your weekly calendars or your weekly spreads are together, and then all your daily spreads are together. This goes through in order of, working through the year. And so I really like that. I think that's really great if you are used to working that way. I also would say this is a plus if you are into journaling and planning in the same book. And of course, if you like fountain pens, this is perfect for that. But let me know what you think of this planner, especially if you used it this year. If not, let me know what you're thinking for your 2025 planner. I would love to hear all about it down in the comments. Definitely like this video if you've enjoyed, and subscribe if you love talking about fountain pens, inks, journaling, and planning. If you want to see how I set up a planner like this, actually this exact planner, if you want to see how I set up this planner, I'll leave that video for you right here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.